One of the great things about some of the adaptogens that we use is that they help your body adapt to stress. They rebalance your cortisol levels. That's the name adaptogens. And they lift you up when you're feeling slightly down or stressed. And when you're too hyper, they'll like calm you a little as well. So they have this beautiful effect on your system.
Hello and welcome to the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US, a podcast in which we explore the mind-bending world of global supply chains, covering topics such as automation, innovation, unique identity, and more. I'm your co-host, Reid.
And I'm Liz.
And welcome to the show.
Hey, Reid and I just had an amazing conversation with Aisha, who is the CEO and founder of Moment. It's a functional drink that she created from the very start in her kitchen during COVID. And it's just amazing the story that she has and how she is created this startup to having this brand into grocery stores and on Amazon. We had great conversation with her about the ins and the outs and the successes and the failures and the keep trying moments that she and her team has had. Hope you enjoy.
Hi, Aisha. Welcome to the show.
Reid, it's amazing to be here, and I really appreciate you asking me to join.
Yeah, we're excited to get into this conversation. But before we jump into all of it, for our audience, can you just give us a little about yourself, some background, and the current work that you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So I run Moment, a company that creates drinks designed to support your mood and mind. They are powered by adaptogens and botanicals with no added sugar, absolutely delicious, and launched with a mission to make mindful drinking mainstream. Right now, we are sold through our website, Sprouts. We're also available in places like Soho Houses, Virgin Voyages, a lot of office spaces, and growing every week. In terms of a bit about myself, I have lived and worked across 4 different continents. And I think that's been my best education and a defining part of my life, which has also led to me starting this business. It has allowed me a very zoomed out view of how people consume, how cultures value wellness, and how to connect ideas across different systems. And I would say Moment is really a lot of different parts of my life coming together.
That's awesome. And where are you based out of today? Like, where are you living today?
So today I live in New York, right in the heart of downtown in the hustle and bustle, which is a great place to be starting a beverage business. There's a lot of action that takes place here.
Yeah, that's so cool. And in getting ready for this, I glanced at your website and I'm just really looking forward to hearing about how you started this company and what Moment is. So can you just share how all of this background and your traveling evolved into Moment and launching that?
Yeah, totally. So Moment really started as something that came out of like a personal use case, or I wouldn't say frustration, but a need. Prior to Moment, I used to be a strategy consultant at McKinsey, long hours, stressful days, and I did really like doing what I did, but in a way to manage my life, my health, emotional, physical, mental, I started going deeper into some of the ingredients and a couple of like the herbs that I had grown up with. I've always been a health fundy. And so as I got deeper into the science behind some of these things, I realized that these things were world changing, specifically ingredients such as ashwagandha, tulsi. And so I started making little potions of this drink and like started giving it to my team at McKinsey. And I became known as we had a term, their engagement manager, but I became known as the EM who was always giving the team potions. And then come COVID, when COVID hit, the world was going through so much stress and intensity. And I was experiencing it in my teams at McKinsey. And so that was, like many others, I had a moment of realization and I felt I needed to do something that was bigger and just support others in their journey. So one of the great things about some of the adaptogens that we use is that, well, not just the adaptogens that we use, adaptogens in general, they help your body adapt to stress. They rebalance your cortisol levels. That's the name adaptogens. And they lift you up when you're feeling slightly down or stressed. And when you're too hyper, they'll like calm you a little as well. So they have this beautiful effect on your system. And I decided to start Moment with that, along with a lot of other ingredients that power your entire body and mind.
That is amazing. I'm really leaning in here because as we're getting older, Liz, we struggle with this whole stress and am I up and am I down and am I left and right? I really try to take the more healthy side. I don't drink coffee, but I do partake in an energy drink here or there. But I also find I can't drink them all at once. It really hurts. It's like the bad effect of it. But I would like to understand. I mean, this intrigues me so much. First, I don't know if I can do this, but the EM, meaning engagement manager, right? Like an account executive, an AE, right? So EM, engagement manager. And I was just thinking potions and Hogwarts and that kind of stuff. But I would love to understand how your operation has evolved from a startup, right? Like you've, quote unquote, making potions in your house to moving this to like a distribution to a structured system that you have today. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
So that's actually been one of the most fascinating and exciting parts of the journey. In the early days, it was, a lot of Google Sheets and duct tape, me literally labeling boxes by hand all night. And then as soon as the UPS store in my neighborhood would open, I would start doing the trips back and forth. So there was like a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes, and every mistake became a reason to write down a better process of how to do things. And over time, we've built a lot of clarity and a lot of systems and processes. They've continuously evolved over time. I think the critical things that have been common in terms of this building the business over time has been, one, having a very growth and process mindset. So as soon as you figure something out, you build it into a process. And then secondly, it has been a lot about learning from the mistakes, especially in a business like this. There have been times, and, I'm going to quote a story on like the GS1 barcodes because we're talking about the podcast is related to them. But we actually got the barcodes wrong when we were launching with a major retailer. We had the same barcode on 3 different flavors, and it was chaos. We did not realize the implication that had and how exactly are they used in the back end. So we had to learn it the hard way. And now I can tell you there is so many controls and systems in place in ensuring that never happens again anytime we're launching a new SKU. But yeah, so over time, there's been a lot of learnings, and every time there's been a learning, there's been a very growth and process oriented mindset that we built, which is there's like a little postmortem that's done, and it gets built into a process of like how to ensure it never happens again and what we're going to do to improve it. And with this continuous improvement mindset, we've been able to really build a system with a very lean team over the years that actually powers this business.
And what about like your distribution size now? Like, I'm assuming you're not making this in your house or apartment or wherever you are. I mean, what does that look like today?
Yeah, so definitely not. Though my apartment is still full of drinks, but we work with 3 different co-packers around the country. We have about 7 different warehouses, and then we work with another 8 or 10 distributors around the country in different regions. So right now, you'll find Moments talked at like about 30 DCs around the country in total, distribution centers. On the retail front, we're in about 1,000 stores across the country. Some of the major ones being Sprouts, Fresh Time, or for a lot of natural retailers. We're in a lot of wellness locations, along with places such as Soho Houses, hospitality like Enchantment Resorts and such. And we are also in the airports, like New York airports. We are in like a lot of office spaces, like the Facebook offices and so on. So yeah, it's a very complicated, intense distribution network. And again, I think that the critical thing is having very clear owners as to who's doing what, processes, and systems that can be easily followed around that.
What does it feel like going into a Sprouts or a New York airport and seeing your own product? Is it amazing?
It's actually really amazing. It's mind-blowing. Starting the business from scratch, I wouldn't say on my own. There was a lot of people who helped and support me, but starting the business from scratch as like an idea and then building it, you sometimes don't realize the impact and the power of it. Very, very randomly, I was speaking to my sister who currently lives in Dubai, and she was mentioning that her friends were so excited about there's this brand in the US that they love, and they want to use that as an inspiration to create a drink in Dubai. And she went and she was just chatting with them, and she's like, which brand is this? And they opened it up. They opened a moment. They didn't know that.
Wow, so cool.
Yeah. It was a proud moment for her, and it's just like so incredible to see it. And then also being at the airports, like a lot of people who, as when you are a startup entrepreneur, when you first start and you're starting without a lot of funding, there's a lot of like begging and pleading your friends to go buy your product. And so everyone who's ever been associated with me knows that I started this business. And so now anytime anyone is passing New York, they'll see it and they'll always send me a picture saying, oh my gosh, I'm having it. I'm just passing like LaGuardia, JFK, whatever that is. And I saw it, and it's a very, very proud moment. It's more special when other people like see it and tell me about it. Yeah.
So cool. And to get into all of these different locations and retail locations, what are the secrets to building relationships with not only the retail side, but the suppliers? Because there has to be that special sauce of conversation to make sure there's enough product and how you keep it on the shelves and how you sell it in and things.
Yeah, I would say when you are small, your leverage isn't volume. Your leverage is relationships and being very prepared and making this partnership easy for them. A lot of suppliers, to be honest, they don't like working with small companies because it's more difficult. It's a lot more work. If you're prepared and you come in with that can be a leverage. One of our co-packers once said that, our drink is very difficult and intricate because of all the steps that go into like producing it and some of the ingredients that go into and the thermopasteurization, so on. In like a second and the third meeting, we shared with them like an exact guide, like a step-to-step process of how to do it, what are like some of the issues they can expect, how to like address these issues when they come through, and so on. And now we've had a relationship with them for the last like 3 years. It works really smoothly. And they actually quote us as their favorite customers. So yeah, it's really special. And a lot of our other suppliers say that as well. And that's actually been like a very core thing, especially as the world goes through so many changes today with the tariffs and such, having the strong relationships that are not just based on like you being able to provide volume, but you being a really good customer who's prepared, who plays their part, is the critical, I would say, is the secret sauce.
I am loving this so much. I wasn't expecting this conversation today. There's been so many other things going on, as you kind of mentioned. But Liz, I don't know if I'm getting like this Hank Sauce type of feeling. Hank Sauce is a hot sauce company. These 3 guys in New Jersey built it out of college, and lots of similar like nuances. It's the relationships. And in today's day and age, like if you talk to anybody, what do they want to talk about? The latest and greatest is AI and what AI is doing. AI will never replace that. I mean, it may be a computer relationship, but this relationship of really, you were so honest with, they don't want to work with small companies. They want tried and true. They want, dependable, but the relationship makes the difference. And then it makes that long run and that jump. My next question for you is, are there other behind the scene operational wins that you're proud of that most people would never really know about? I don't know if it's like co-branding or other types of branding or systems improvements or a huge failure that turned into a huge success.
Yeah, there's like a lot that I can talk about. I'm going to share 2 quick things. One is we're extremely proud of our collab that we did last year with Lululemon. We actually created an exclusive flavor together that was inspired by their values and our values. A lot of the overlapping themes around being mindful and both mind, body health. And so we created something that had lemon, yuzu, honeysuckle, jasmine in it. It was called Lemon. And yeah, it was incredible. It was really, really exciting collab that we did. It just recently ended. And the other thing that we're really proud of, our cans they've got this gradient which transitions from the first to the second to the third color. And so these gradients were inspired by a lot of elements of nature, such as sunrise, sunset, rainbows, because those elements support a better mind-body health, and being in nature is really good for you. And so that was the inspiration behind the design of the brand. And so that was really important for us. But the difficult thing has been moving to printed cans, just given the technology behind that. So we've been working on that for the past few years, and just recently were we able to finally put together a first batch of printed cans, which was like really, really exciting because it's definitely more sustainable, it's more affordable, it's like good for the planet. And so I think it's difficult for people who might not know about some of the technology, like the printing technology, but it was really a really difficult process, to the point that, we ended up working with a lot of different printed can providers around the country, and some of them just didn't have it in them to get, because it was difficult. And every time I go into this relationship, I tell people, I'm like, hey, our can design is difficult. I get it. I'm going to start the conversation with that. You have to come prepared to work with us. And if we can make this successful, then it's going to open up a huge world of opportunity for both of us. And so we were able to finally make it happen. And this has been a very, very exciting moment and a big milestone. There's definitely a lot of other operational failures that have taught us a lot that I can go into, but I'm going to pause there.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that because I know Liz wants to jump in with another aspect here that's important to both of us as well.
As many of the listeners know, I have a packaging engineering degree, and I really lean in and always get excited about talking about packaging, but people don't acknowledge, like, to have a packaging component, it's not an easy thing. Most people are like, it's just a can. It's so much more than just a can when you start talking about the functionality and how it looks and how it feels and all of those things. So it's a whole process. And I give you so many kudos to, like, no, this is what we want, and making sure that you go down that path. You all have a subscription model, yes?
Yeah, we do. Yep, that's actually a big part of what we do.
I would love to hear that, because it's a little different than just going to the store and picking up product or drink, when you want it. This is more so in anticipation of needing it, you can get it. Yes.
It's very intriguing to us. Very intriguing.
Yeah, subscription is actually a big part of what we do. And the reason behind that is a few different reasons. Number one is the moment is about building a ritual. The whole idea behind the brand is mindfulness, thinking about what you're consuming, not just consuming junk, not just consuming sugar, caffeine. And that's why we have some ingredients in it that are easy to consume, that are actually going to be good for you. And that's why we also designed it to be only like 15 calories per can, 1 or 2 grams of natural sugar. So it's keto, like all of the diet, it's friendly with those. It's very easy. So we want to help people make it a ritual, and you start seeing the benefits of some of the natural ingredients. Like I mentioned, like ashwagandha, like turmeric, ginger, a lot of things that go into it. Sure, you'll see some impact in like 2 or 3 days, but if you start making it a ritual, then you start like noticing it more and more. And a lot of customers who will have it for like a week, 2 weeks, they'll come back to us and they'll be like, hey, I see that I'm sleeping so much better. Is this because of Moment? And this is something that we don't actively share, because you can only share this much with the customer on the onset. But we're like, yeah, it actually, like, it is scientifically proven to improve sleep. And so, people start noticing it when they make it a ritual. They notice all the different effects it has on your mind, body, but your life. And so that's why the subscription model is really important, that it helps people build that ritual. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it also helps us understand and forecast as to what we need for the business, especially in times like this, where it's really, really good to know, like, what is our demand going to be over the next few months? How are we going to source the product? Last minute changes are difficult in an economy like this, even though we are made in USA, but there's just a lot of impact on the supply chain because of everything that is going on. And so it's always good to have that clarity. So subscription model allows us to do that. And then lastly, it makes it like really convenient for our customers. They don't have to spend time about it every month. Okay, now it's time to order Moment. We have like flexibility in the subscription model. So you can order it once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You can order different types of flavors, still sparkling, more herbal, more fruity, whatever your heart desires. And so it's on your doorstep. You don't have to lug around heavy drinks and super convenient.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give this a try, Liz.
Yeah, you gotta. I'm having it as we speak.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it a try. And when my kids come home from school and they're like, Dad, how was your day? Well, I spoke to the CEO and founder of Moment. I mean, Aisha and I are tight now. So like, yeah, it's coming to the doorstep.
Love it.
You mentioned before failures, and you even mentioned even before that, like, you know, we learned a lot and, you know, we made mistakes. And I truly believe this, like, you know, that saying of get comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you're in a growth moment. And when you really break it down, you celebrate victories and you analyze mistakes, but you don't get to the victories unless one, you're just lucky out of the gate, or two, you've had lots of mistakes. So what's an operational failure or chaotic moment that ended up teaching you something just so invaluable? I mean, it seems like you have a lot that you've already shared, but is there, you know, one or two that really stand out?
Yeah, there's definitely like some things that were more fun than the others. So I'm going to give you a few quick stories. Overall, I think the biggest learning across everything is just the importance of relationships. And when you find your people, ensuring that you continue building those relationships. Like when you find your co-packer or like your suppliers who you really like working with, and it's not just about like costs and volumes. It's about this like long-term relationship. People like I go beyond, above and beyond for people who have been supportive and who have been there for a moment in one way or the other. And so do our suppliers. And those relationships are not tangible. They go beyond like that transaction. So I think that's just like an important part of this whole thing. But a couple of chaotic op stories. So I told you about this barcode issue with a major retailer where the retailer was not happy. We were kicked off because we didn't know how to manage our supply chain. This was like the first year of Moment, and
this is not an uncommon story. I mean, it's really not. If you don't know, you don't know. And you have a barcode and you're working really fast and you're doing 1,000 million things. And they're like, do you have the barcode? Do you have a UPC? Yes, yes. But a small mistake like this, we hear it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And so this was like 3 different flavors of cans having the same barcode at the back, and like thousands of cans being printed with the wrong barcodes. But anyway, it's, you know, you live and you learn. So that was the first thing. The second thing that happened was we worked with Amazon. That's like a key channel for us. And so there was this one time where there's an option in Amazon to return inventory, something like that. There was some boxes that had not been labeled correctly. And we had an ops manager at that point who said, you know what, return inventory. I'm going to click this. And he clicked it. And 3 days later, there was like an Amazon, like there's a truck that pulled up at his place with like a pallet, like a big pallet of like our leachman paper. And they're like, we have to offload it. And he's like, oh, but this is my house. Like, I didn't realize, I guess he thought that he had just put in like his house address because he wasn't sure what was going on. And so then he had like a pallet of inventory that got offloaded, and we decided to donate it to the local shelters and such. So we made good use of it. But the point was, again, like you learn how these like systems work, and sometimes something that might seem like so small that you just like typing information without thinking can actually have like big consequences. So that was like the other thing. And then third, I would say is that I think we've learned the importance of planning earlier and beforehand, time and time again. My first lesson in planning was when I did the first production run, and this was during COVID. So the warehouse that was supposed to keep our inventory, there was like a surge of COVID. It couldn't open. And this was like first time in business. I did not know warehouses. It was COVID. I basically had to bring all the inventory back to my place. And I used to live on a 3rd floor walk up in New York at that point. And I had to from 12 to 4 a.m. in the morning, I had to go back up down the 3-floor walk up. So, because, in New York, you also kind of park the car, and it's just, there's a lot of things around planning and backup and risk mitigation that we've learned time and time again. And now we are over prepared to the point that sometimes the team will be like, do we need to? And I'm like, yes, we need to. So when we're going into Sprouts in our first time in February this year, I was very, very anal about every single aspect of it. And because of that, we actually were able to make it successful. Not just because of that, of course, there was a lot of people who put in a lot of hard work and a lot of things went right, but we put a lot of planning and backups and oh, if this is to happen wrong, then this is what we're going to fall on. And going in with a very detailed plan was really, really helpful. And we've learned that multiple different ways over the years.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And you said, whatever, we live and we learn. That's hard to say sometimes. It's really hard to say. And I commend you on your mindset and your attitude towards this. You have to be flexible. You have to go into it knowing it's not going to be perfect.
The one last thing I'm going to say is that, and I see this with a lot of new entrepreneurs, and this was also my mindset at the beginning. Don't rush into relationships and contracts just because somebody on the other side is saying yes. Just because a partner says yes doesn't mean they're the right fit, whether it be a distributor or a retailer or a potential customer, anything. This is something we've learned from retailers, distributors, suppliers. You have to do your diligence and you have to apply okay, what do you need versus what is they offer before you make the decision. We've done this where we went into a major retailer early on at Moment.
That's good advice.
Yeah, just being able to learn. And then, you didn't make fun of yourself, but I can just see looking back, all 3 floors up, 3 floors down, 3 floors up, 3 floors down for 4 hours. When you look back at that and you're like, I don't want this to happen again, or something like that, then you kind of have that lens of, let's think through decisions before we move forward. We're running out of time. And as we kind of finish up podcast, Reid and I have 2 questions we like to ask our guests. So I'm going to ask you the first one. Whether it be in professional or your personal life, what is the favorite technology that you're using right now?
I have been experimenting a lot with a lot of different AI tools. I feel it's changing the world pretty significantly. And so I recently have been using this AI tool called Manus. It allows you to do some research on your behalf. So that's been super helpful. And I would say that's a tool that I've been using the most, but I've been experimenting with a lot of different types of AI, both on apps, on web, across the entire platform. And right now we're exploring how to use it for the Moment ops, because there's a lot of stuff even to this date that we do, which is very manual. And so we're trying to figure out easy ways to build GPTs that will automate a lot of the stuff.
Very common, but it's all new and it's all changing weekly. What I'd like to know is, what's something new you want to learn in the near future?
So one of the things that I'm actively learning and want to continue honing on over the next few months is video storytelling. It's still something that's new to me. I'm not afraid of being in front of the camera, but being a video storyteller requires a certain sort of skill set, being able to do that in a short, concise way, getting your point across. And I think it's really, really exciting because it allows you to get your message across, but also it's so important in terms of playing a part in today's culture and being able to resonate with the audience. So I want to be able to tell the stories about how Moment can help people. And so that's definitely something that I'm working on.
That is awesome. Really cool.
Oh, don't be surprised if you see some poor videos for the next few weeks, but I am telling you, I'm going to get better.
We all have to start someplace, right? Well, listen, Aisha, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your story and the insights. It was very valuable to us, and I'm sure that our listeners will find it just as valuable. And we wish you the best of luck. And I am definitely going to try the product. No doubt.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know if you guys want samples. Happy to send. And this was really awesome. I appreciate all the thoughtful questions and the great conversation.
Thank you for joining the Next Level Supply Chain with GS1 US. If you enjoyed today's show, you can subscribe to our feed or explore more great episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to share and follow us on social media. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.